Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris. It's Tuesday, May 11th, and we're getting ready to go into playoff season. And Sixers are heading to the playoffs, of course, and trying to lock up the number one seed tonight. What's up, Chris?
Hey, how's your weekend going?
Good. How about you?
Oh, pretty good. The weather seems to want to go back to being cold after it's been warm for a little bit, but other than that, everything's going good, and you're right, we're looking forward to Sixers playoffs.
Yep. Now,
how's those Flyers playoffs looking?
Good. They'll be on the golf course watching. I was gonna say just like last year, but they made it last year. That was the bubble, of course.
Yeah, when they lost to the Islanders.
Yeah. They didn't show up for Game 7.
Exactly.
I'm trying to still get the last-minute call on Embiid. He was a game-time decision with a non-COVID illness. I think they just might be wanting to rest him tonight.
Okay.
Phillies lead 2-0 in the third down in Washington. We're going to lead off the show with Phillies, actually, because Saturday night I made a pledge that I'm disconnected from this team. I know we talk about Hector Neris a lot on the show, and week to week we bash him, but I can't take it anymore. And I'm sure thousands of Philly fans can't take him anymore. But they just continue to trot him out there, and Girardi said he's still going to be your closer.
Yeah, and it was very, very disappointing, but it was a typical performance the other night by Hector Neris. I mean, he came in, he got 2 outs, and I'm watching the game, I'm listening to John Crocker, who I really like listening to, call the games, and he said, "Boy, we're getting a beautiful Hector Neris tonight," and before he could blink, it's 2-2. I mean, he's given up 2 runs, and it's 3-1. It just is terrible. I mean, first of all, you can't walk the guy in front of Pablo Sandoval. You just can't do
Right.
it. I don't care about the ball out of state.
Exactly.
You can't give him ball 4. And then when Sandoval came up, I mean, it was only a matter of time until Neris threw him a pitch so he could get out of the ballpark.
And that's the only reason he's up there is to hit a home run. It's the only thing he's claiming for. You stay away. You stay down and away. You don't even come from that half in. You ignore that part of the plate. You throw down and away. And I know they did call that pitch. He just missed. He's not a pitcher. He's not a closer. He looks to me like he doesn't even want to be on the mound when he's out there. He has this expression on his face that he's. It doesn't look like he wants to. He has no passion for the game.
Well, that seems to be the look on a lot of those right now. And the thing too is, I mean, and I've had some discussions back and forth with some people on Twitter who want to defend Hector Neris, which just absolutely amazes me.
I wouldn't give him the time of day.
No, and it's just like one thing that I was kind of complaining about too is at some point JT Realmuto, if he's supposed to be the best catcher in baseball, has to know that hey, either call a timeout, walk out there and say, Hector, you can't throw a pitch in this situation. Okay, the pitch can't be anywhere near the plate, or it's got to be on, like you said, the outer half of the plate, and maybe even off some, or in the dirt, or try to get that low outside corner because Sandoval may swing through it. But I don't know, it just seems to be frustrating. And then the other part that was frustrating in that game, that kind of summed up what the Philadelphia Phillies are, because they had, at 3 different times, they had 3 different leads where all they needed to do was get 3 outs in the game, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, he said Realmuto needs to walk out and tell him. Does Hector Neris really need to be told? He's been pitching since I'm sure he's been 8 years old.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, I, as a fan of watching it, I would just like to see Realmuto walk out there because we've seen it over and over and over again. Like you said, at times the focus or whatever isn't there. I mean, how can that pitch be where it was?
He missed. He missed because he's not a control pitcher. He's a two-pitch pitcher.
Even after walking the batter before Sandoval, as soon as he walks him, something, it's got to be like, hey, you know what's coming up here, and anything middle of the strike zone, it's going to end up tying the game. And
it's not even the first time this year. He had a home run earlier against us.
It was against no one.
Yeah.
And everyone keeps saying, well, they missed their spots or whatever. I mean, well, okay, I understand that, but at some point, as a fan, it just gets to be frustrating.
We have absolutely no confidence when he comes in the game. I don't care if it's a 3-run lead. Anything 3 and below, I say we're going to lose. It's never a 1-2-3 inning. It's always load the bases, 2 guys on, nobody out. It's never easy. How do you take this as a manager? I don't get it. And in past seasons, like we said, there's no other option. He has options this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Could probably be the
exactly.
I would just think, and I guess maybe it gets to be a little bit frustrating and not being in Girardi's shoes, who I don't know, he's turned into Gabe Kapler quickly.
Yeah.
All the stuff that we said about Gabe Kapler, you can say about Girardi, and Gabe Kapler's team just seems to be winning games. But it's one of those things, too, where I would think, and once again, not being a manager and not going through this, it would be a signal to your team, to your fan base, or to whatever. It's like, look, Neris isn't the closer anymore. I don't care if we got to do this by committee until Archie Bradley gets back. He can't be the closer anymore.
He shouldn't have been the closer before the season started.
No, I agree. Now, my only fear is he'd end up putting Jose Alvarado in that spot, and the same thing's going to happen if he's out there not being able to throw strikes.
I mean, I like this Coonrod. I didn't really know about him prior to being on the Phillies. He did pitch 2 seasons in San Francisco, which I didn't know. I thought he came from the Phillies farm system, to tell you the truth. I missed that one.
Yeah, and he gets the ball up there at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
The thing is, at times we've seen his 100 mile an hour be very, very straight, very, very flat, very hittable.
But he has control, though, unlike the other 2 guys we talked about. He's pitched 16 innings this season, only walked 2.
Yeah, and he hit Acuna tonight, which, that's never a bad thing if you're a coach.
Yeah.
I don't like to see that ever happen to anybody. Someone get hit with a pitch like that, but yeah, it's just one of those things to where we're looking at the 10th year of no playoff baseball to the Philadelphia Phillies. Doesn't that sound like, after what they went through, when you go back looking from 2006 on through 2011, 2012, that just seems unbelievable to me. But I guess to me, that sums up John Middleton. And the thing, too, is there's a couple things you can point to when I look at the Phillies that can sum them up. Of course, Hector Neris is one. The other one's Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola is the Philadelphia Phillies. It's all this perceived talent or all this perceived ability, but it doesn't translate into winning.
Yeah, the other night when they won the game, they were interviewing Gene Segura in the dugout. He said this is the best lineup he's ever been a part of in his career. You played in Milwaukee when they had Ryan Braun and Prince Fielder, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. And I don't know what players were surrounding him when he was in Seattle. He was in Seattle, correct?
Yeah, he played for Seattle. I think he played for Milwaukee and one other team. He's been around a while. Decent.
Well, and that's the thing that's frustrating, too, because if you look at the lineup, okay,
yes,
you could go through the lineup. Okay, you have McCutcheon, a former MVP, okay, but he's getting over it. You have Rhys Hoskins. Once again, what's the word with Hoskins? Potential. You have Bryce Harper. Okay, Bryce Harper can be one of the best players in the game, but then again, he can look like he's never played before as well.
Bryce Harper has 7 home runs this season, has 11 RBIs. He's only knocked in 4 base runners in 117 plate appearances.
And isn't it amazing that when he has hit those home runs, there's been nobody on
base? That's what I'm saying. He only has 4 RBIs other than himself. That's
So how can team support be correct?
yeah. Yeah, Segura played for the Angels one season, his first season. Then he played for Milwaukee, Arizona, Seattle, and the Phillies. So he's been around. They say he's a clubhouse poison. That's why he plays on so many different teams.
Yeah, I've heard that about him as well. Now, he has done above and beyond since he's come back from being injured.
Yeah.
As a base hit, has had a home run as well. And as we were going through that Phillies lineup, though, you get there to Bryce Harper, and once you get past Bryce Harper, you have another problem in my mind. I think it's in your mind too with the Philadelphia Phillies, and that's JT Realmuto. Now I'm finally seeing some people coming around saying, this guy never gets a big hit.
Yep, I'm starting to see it too. They're saying he's not clutch, no clutch gene. About time. Cash and Chris have been saying it for I think 2 years now.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. I mean,
no, I'd expect to hear right now he's hitting 313. What are you guys talking about? Yeah. Again with the home run when it's a 9-2 ball game. It's constant.
Yeah. He did really well in that game where he ended up 12-2 the other night. He had a couple hits and home run and things like that. But someone was making, someone who I was reading that they were making some tweets during the game the other night. This was a Sunday night game when the Phillies did get behind, and the Phillies weren't winning that game because the offense went cold after the first pitch of the game. But there was an inning, though. Nola came out and gave up two runs, I think it was, and then he gave up two more. The Phillies are down
4-1.
4-1,
Yeah.
and the first two batters got on in the Phillies half of the inning. Harper strikes out, Realmuto strikes out, and then the inning's over and the game's over.
Yep. Hey. He messaged me. It was already 4-2. I thought it was an 8 o'clock game. I'm sleeping. Yeah, they used to be 8 o'clock. I expected them to be 8 o'clock.
That was another Sunday night baseball game where the Phillies don't play too well on Sunday night baseball.
It seems like it's always against Atlanta too.
Atlanta, New York, yeah.
Yeah, Atlanta and the Mets, the only two teams they show.
Well, and that was the thing too, where you look at what happened. I mean, the Phillies, they got the 4-game sweep over the Brewers, which kind of made everyone sit up and take notice. Which now, when you look back on that 4-game sweep, that was more about the Brewers than the Phillies, obviously.
Exactly, yeah.
And it was like, okay, well, they went to Atlanta and blew Atlanta out game 1. And it's like, wait a minute. Is this actually what we're seeing here? Is this actually going to be something? And then you have Saturday and Sunday, and you're like, oh. you get that quick. The team has no problem reminding you that they are who we thought they were.
Yep.
So how do they fix it?
How do you fix it? I heard today was the Chris Bryant rumors. They're going to make a trade for Chris Bryant from the Cubs. And he's gonna play center field. A third baseman who's never played the outfield is gonna be our new center fielder.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess at this point, why not, right?
Yeah. Oh, he'd be a better offensive option, obviously, than who we have out there.
What the Phillies would end up doing is they put him at third base and they put out a bonus.
Yeah. And as usual, we talk and Odubel Herrera hits one in the gap.
Yeah, he got bunted over here to third base, and this is another one of those situations where we're looking at this game now. The Phillies are in Washington, playing the division rival. They're up 2-0 early. It's top of the fourth. Chase Anderson's on the mound. I mean, if the Phillies are up 10-0 now, I wouldn't say it's comfortable.
Right. The only good thing is it's the fourth inning, so if Anderson gets in a little trouble, they can pull him. He can't totally blow the game.
Well, I don't know. Jordy might make a mistake. Leave him in too long, or we'll see if Andrew McCutcheon here can drive in this run.
All he has to do is hit a ground ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and it's amazing again, Cash, when you look at this. The Phillies cannot win a road series.
No, they haven't. Since when? 2018, right?
Yeah, they can win game 1 of a road series by 10 runs and not win the series and have the so-called ace on the mound. it's one of those things too where
19.
I would have been
I'm sorry.
more comfortable seeing Vince Velasquez on the mound Sunday night than Aaron Nola.
He's actually pitched decent lately.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it wasn't 2008. It's 2019, the last time they won a World Series, right?
Yeah, I think it was early on in 2019.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. But that just sums up the Phillies, and that just sums up some frustration.
Yeah.
And
Like this season, they're 13-6 at home, 5-11 on the road.
Yeah, and I was last night when there wasn't a Phillies game on the Baltimore Orioles game. They were playing. They're playing Boston next night, and it was amazing because Baltimore at home has Phillies Saturday games under 500, but it's just the opposite on the road. and like you said, the Phillies, we know it's kind of the opposite with them.
Yeah, look at that. Baltimore's 11-6 away, 5-13 at home.
Yeah, and they ended up winning last night to get that fifth win at home. And
that division's starting to turn around. The Yankees are starting to move up a little bit. They're 2 games over 500. The Tampa Bay's 2 games over. I think by the end of the season, Boston's going to fall. It's going to be a Yankees-Tampa division. Maybe Toronto a couple games back. But I think this Boston's mirage. I don't think that over 162 games they can hang in there. We'll see, but I don't think so.
Yeah, like you said, the class of that division is Tampa Bay. And
yeah.
Probably, as always, the New York Yankees. And yeah, just looking at the score right now, the Orioles and the Mets up in New York, it's in series there. But John Means is throwing for the Orioles tonight. So see how he bounces back after his no-hitter.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I was thinking today. When I was thinking about tonight's game, it's like, oh, was that Wheeler's pitching tonight? But, of course, the Phillies, they decided to give him that extra day and throw Chase Anderson tonight. And as I'm thinking about it, though, the home start that Wheeler had against the Brewers last week was the best start of his career.
Yep.
So what's that going to be followed up with tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't know. Somewhere along the line, they got it. I don't know if they gave him the extra day. Something happened where they missed a day, and
well, they have Monday off.
They separated them somehow. I don't remember it happening, but it was like last week too.
Yeah, and they had. Yeah, you're right, because it was supposed to be Noah, Wheeler, Eflin, and somehow in there, I think what happened was they had a day off. They went to Colorado. What they did was they were not going to pitch Matt Moore because I guess he was on the injured list or the COVID list or something like that. And instead of what they did was they gave Nola the extra day, and since Moore wasn't pitching, they pitched Velasquez, and then they kind of just going with that pattern since they've been in Colorado.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna give you the statistics of a pitcher in the American League. You tell me who it is. He's 5-0 with a 3.19 ERA and getting
You don't have to go any further. Keep going.
and 7 games started, 35 strikeouts in 36 innings.
Let me see. A pitcher in the American League. Let me see here. Garrett Cole.
No.
I know it's Nick Pivetta.
Nick Pivetta is 5-0. We gave him away for Brandon Workman, a closer that couldn't get an out. But what else is new? So of course Pivetta goes up to Boston and has a new leash on life. 5-0.
Maybe it's who he's throwing to in Boston.
A bit.
But just I mean, that's an amazing thing to look at. I mean, Nick Pivetta was he was a guy who could always get the ball up there, 96, 97.
Yeah.
It just seemed like he could never get out. And there was a game last season. I think the Phillies were ahead by 10 runs, and they brought Nick Pivetta in to pitch the ninth, and they had to get somebody out. He got through.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
They had to get somebody out. And I'm like,
Yep.
and like you said, it was a situation where Boston didn't want Workman anymore, so it was like, okay, we'll move him. If you want to move Pivetta, fine, we'll take him. And then all of a sudden, he turned into something that might be, they may have found something that the Phillies couldn't do.
I look at the game right now. It's 3-0 in the fourth. You got Anderson on the mound. This is a money-making position.
I would say so.
Washington Nationals, 3 runs down. I don't have the odds in front of me, but I'm sure they're plus 500, plus 600.
It's probably plus 3 or 4 at the minimum, but you're probably right. It could be higher. And it's one of those things too where Anderson's probably going to struggle in this inning or the next, and if not, you're going to expect 4 innings probably out of the bullpen. Which right there is always going to be something that's not easy.
Right.
Now, with the day off yesterday, you would think the guys could be in a position to where they can come in and be at their best. But the Phillies bullpen at their best isn't too good.
Well, it's better than last year, but still not too good.
And actually, it's plus 375.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, which.
This time of the game, it changes drastically. As soon as there's an out, it'll be in the 500-600 range by next inning if it stays like this.
Yeah, and when you look what's coming up for the Phillies, I mean, it would be nice to be able to project and say that they got to win 2 out of 3 in Washington and finally get over that hurdle of winning a road series, which would be a nice thing to do because where they're going after this, you can almost guarantee 3 losses. They just don't play well against Miami, ever.
Nope.
Ever.
And right on cue, he hit Schwarber in the back with a pitch.
Which will probably be followed up by a long ball or something here. And it's one of those things when you watch these games. It's the leadoff walk that will kill the Phillies. It'll be hitting a batter or something like that will kill the Phillies. I mean, you go back to Saturday night's game, they had that 3-run lead in extra innings where they finally got some key hits, and coming out of the bullpen, you got Andrel De Los Santos, and the first thing he does is walk the leadoff guy, and as soon as that happens, I don't know how you can be an announcer and not be like, that's the last thing that can happen here. How do you have a guy that, I don't care, throw it up there 90 miles an hour, and if the leadoff guy hits a home run, so what? I'd rather see that than a walk. And that was an amazing thing because he didn't get an out.
No,
and they brought Matt Moore in. He didn't get an out either, and the Phillies lost.
Yeah. I didn't see De Los Santos getting it out the way I don't think he had any idea where the ball was going to go when he threw it. Just throw it as hard as I can and hope to get it out. And he wasn't going to get it out.
Being a fan of this team, and we follow baseball as closely as we can. But we're not watching as closely other teams to see. It's just amazing, though, with the Phillies, especially over these last 10 years, how they just run guys out there who do know other teams who were trying to compete would not even put them in uniform.
No, the other team wouldn't have David Hale on this roster still. You can't put David Hale out there. You can't put De Los Santos out there.
No, and the other thing, too, is, look at this situation. I mean, this is just me making a projection. I think tonight the person who's going to cause the Phillies downfall because he pitched 2 scoreless innings the other night is going to be one of my least favorite relievers for the Phillies. It's the left-hander, and all of a sudden his name just left me.
Alvarado?
Ranger Suarez.
Oh God.
Ranger Suarez. He pitched two scoreless innings the other night. I think that was Sunday night on Sunday Night Baseball.
Yeah, he pitched 2 innings at 3 strikeouts. No runs. His only game this season. Yeah.
I think my tweet that night was, well, if the Phillies were up 1 or 2, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's enough, Phillies. We have
hopefully we don't follow. It seems like the pattern we've been following here on Tuesday nights is the Phillies are winning when our show ends.
Yeah.
And then it goes into something that ends up being a problem.
Yeah, we say we should have taken it.
Yeah, true.
Money left on the table. This game will be 3-3 at some point. I guarantee it.
That could be almost guaranteed. We'll be 4-3 Washington.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you a question, though. I know it's something that we don't focus a lot on. And it's just because it's that time of year. We saw it last night with the Flyers season and did not too much to say about that. Going into what is very interesting. It's the NHL playoffs, and I don't know if you have a feel for who you like to possibly win it. I think if I've been paying attention, you think that the Avalanche have a good chance of winning this year.
The Lightning and Colorado and Tampa Bay. I still think Tampa Bay, if they get Stamkos and Kucherov back, are the team to beat. I mean, I don't know at what level they're going to play, but I know they've been practicing, and I know they've been with the team. If they're going to have their game, they're going to be in game shape. But they have a tough first round matchup against the Florida Panthers, who they've struggled with this year. So it's a different setup this year in the NHL. It's the divisions 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, isn't it amazing now? Other than the NBA, because they don't have a team. It's just like, oh, what team do you like in this sport? Just say Tampa. Just say Tampa.
Tampa Bay. Yeah, Tampa Bay. Yeah, Colorado and Tampa Bay seem to be my picks. Vegas, the Golden Knights are there. Who else has played good? Pittsburgh's playing well.
They are.
I'm trying to see. Are any of the series set yet? Scheduled yet? Let's see.
I don't know if they have the schedules out here or not. The only team I would mention here who I think could do something, and I could be wrong, but it's only because I'm looking at Ovechkin, and that could be the Washington Capitals.
Yeah.
They could be a team that goes deep, or they could be an easy.
Yeah, in the first round. Yep. They've been like that for years. Carolina too. I don't know much about Carolina, but they have a hell of a record, 36-12.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's one of those things too. This year there wasn't any games. I think the Flyers played them a few times, but it wasn't like in past seasons where they've played them as many as they had before, with it being such a short season.
Right. Yeah, well, it's got the short end of the stick this year was the Vancouver Canucks. They never got to catch up in games played. They only played 50 games.
Because of the COVID situation that went on up there.
Yeah, so they're eliminated, so they're not going to get to play the games anyway. So it looks like all 4 divisions, the playoffs are set. It's going to be Vegas is going to play St. Louis, Colorado plays Minnesota, Carolina plays Nashville, Florida, Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Islanders, Washington, Boston, Toronto plays Montreal, and Edmonton plays Winnipeg. Edmonton's a good team, too.
Yeah, Edmonton's a very good young team.
Yeah, they have the best player in the league, Connor McDavid.
Absolutely. I mentioned Washington. It just fascinated in my mind as the ex-Flyers coach there, Peter Laviolette's down there.
Yeah. I'm trying to see. It says Kings, Colorado. See, I think that's a regular season game.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah. Yeah, the season's not over yet. There's still games scheduled. I don't think any playoff games have been scheduled. I don't see Tampa Bay and Florida, which would say it's the schedule for the playoffs. So it might not be till like Monday night or Sunday.
Yeah, and I was just thinking since the Flyers ended last night, maybe everybody else was done too.
They're all like 55 games. Some teams have played 54 games.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the Central Division's all done. They've all played 56. And the East is just Boston and Washington still have to play one more. Yeah, who do you pick to go all the way?
Oh my goodness! I'm not sure, and I got to agree with you to an extent. Tampa Bay. I mean, I know that's going back to the team last year who won the whole thing. Tampa Bay. I think, like you said too, Colorado is a good team, and I'm not sure if the Golden Knights. I mean, they've been in first place most of the season, so they might be another team that can make it to the finals again, like they did a few years ago.
Yeah, they're a heck of a defensive team too. They've only given up 124 goals this year, and they've scored 185.
Wow.
Yeah, they've by far given up the least goals, and it's funny watching their scores. A lot of games are 2-1, 1-0, 3-0.
Carter Hunt gave up that many goals in the first 2 weeks.
The first periods of games he probably gave up on.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the Flyers did lead the league in goals allowed this year with 201. By far.
That's not surprising.
I'm sorry, Buffalo. They actually gave up 2 more goals than Buffalo. And
I
Buffalo.
think that kind of sums everything up, doesn't it?
Yeah, and Buffalo was awful.
Well, I could see the Flyers being the next Buffalo.
Yeah.
And they're closer to being that than being the next New York Islanders or Capitals or Tampa Bay.
And JT Realmuto strikes out again.
Looking, pitch right down the middle.
Yep, 4th strikeout for Fetty. That was a.
Did you ever notice when you're watching these games that a lot of Phillies hitters have that exact same look as they're walking off?
Yeah.
It's
Pitches right down the middle.
It's a bewildered look, like why am I playing this
I know.
sport or something?
All you got to do is hit the ball, just stay in and hit the ball to right field. It's a single. All right, enough depression. We're gonna let's take a break. Play a couple commercials. Have a word from a sponsor, and we'll come back with Sixers talk. We'll talk a little happiness for the last 20 minutes, half hour of the show.
Yeah, and before we go to playing those commercials and taking a break, let me just talk to everyone listening to us now on a different subject here. And the subject is legacy financial. And they want everyone to know that the last year or so has been really tough. However, everyone needs to stay positive and needs to keep their faith and continue working hard and make sure that working hard is your goal. If you're in a financial struggle at the moment and you need some help, or if you're doing well and want to keep getting better or to the next level, give Legacy Financial a call. Also, if you are looking for a new opportunity to work for yourself and earn more money part-time, give Legacy Financial a call at 510-928-2104. Once again, Legacy Financial, 510-928-2104. Call and talk to AO, call and talk to Andrew. Give them a call, make an appointment with someone else who works there. It's Legacy Financial. They are people on a mission helping families build a strong financial legacy. Call them today. You're listening to Philly Sports Talk right here on IE Sports Radio with Cash and Chris. IE Sports Radio is your direct feed for all the sports. We'll be back after the commercials.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you. Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to Philly Sports Talk here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We talked depression over the first 40 minutes, the Sixers and the Flyers and Phillies. Now we're going to get into what we hope is our next parade, and we hope it's soon, the Philadelphia 76ers. They can clinch the number one seed tonight in Indiana, but they're going to have to do it without their big man. Embiid is off tonight. Nothing serious, though.
Yeah, with a couple of the games that they have left, taking a night or two off to make sure he's ready to go for the playoffs. It's not a bad thing, and actually it's what is the protocol for the Sixers.
Yeah, it's just load management at this point. Actually, Korkmaz is out too, but he's missed the last couple games.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to ask you was comments recently made by Doc Rivers, where he was kind of hinting at the fact that he's going to play 10 or 11 guys, so that means more bench players are going to play in the playoffs. I don't think that's going to work out well for the Sixers.
I think he means in the first round. I don't think he's going to do that when it comes down to it. Because they're pretty confident they can win this first round with whoever they play, I'm sure. I think you do want to rest your guys and be 100% going into the finals. I mean, we're just assuming they get to the conference finals. I really can't see anyone beating them. I know. I've stayed at Miami. I've stayed at Boston.
Okay, it's going to be 4 out of 7.
Yeah.
We sit here and look at it like that. They'll probably lose game 1.
Yeah.
Was
yeah.
Was that 2 years ago? I think that was 2 years ago in the playoffs where they were playing the Brooklyn Nets, who were well below 500, just got in as they were below 500. They got in as a regular seed. They beat the Sixers game 1. Now, of course, the Sixers came back to win that series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was 2 years ago. That was with Jared Allen. That was when Embiid was sick, and it was every game he was questionable.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Right. And I think that might be where Stephen A. Smith started a comment that I've kind of picked up on, where you may have said it before, but I think you were saying it during that period too, was there's always something wrong with the Sixers. Hopefully this year we don't say that at any point going forward.
And they're in position right now. There's 4 games left. Looks like they're up by 11 points, so they have a great chance to clinch it tonight. And they can just do whatever they want these next 3 games. Sit them out.
Well, those leads on the road have
evaporated.
Gone by quickly here recently. But they did end up winning those games. They won 8 in 1 streak, right?
Yeah, they've won 8 straight.
It doesn't feel like it, but they have.
Well, we said it earlier that they had an easy schedule and they needed to win, and they won every game they needed to win. So,
and in other years, the same thing could have been said, but those teams, whether it was the makeup of the team or it was the fact that it was Brett Brown, games where you look at, okay, well, that's an 8-game winning streak staring you in the face, and Sixers would end up being something like 5-3.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, how they?
Well, the last season with Brett Brown, didn't they win like 16 straight at the end? Or the next to last season?
Was that the year that they lost to Toronto?
Yeah, that was the Toronto year. Yeah.
They did win a long winning streak. Yes, they did. You're right. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah. Now tonight, Ben Simmons over-under was 13.5. There was a lot of talk about the over there if Embiid didn't play, and he does. He has 8 points in the first quarter. So.
Well, in the first quarter, you hope he would get them 13 in the first quarter. That's the quarter where he scores, and hopefully doesn't take the rest of the game off.
Yeah.
You know, one stat that was interesting this week, because there has been a lot of talk, rightfully so, going into the playoffs about the Sixers are going to go as far as Ben Simmons can take them. And a lot of it's to focus on, can Ben Simmons score? Ben Simmons leads the NBA in assists on three-pointers.
Wow.
So if he can do that and lead the playoffs, that isn't, that's going to be just as important as Ben Simmons scoring.
Yeah, that's definitely a product of his driving to the basket and kicking.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely can do that. He definitely can drive. I mean, can't finish that well, but he can get there. They do have to guard him, so yeah, and we have surrounded them with Seth Curry and Danny Green, who have knocked down their threes. Danny Green has surprised the hell out of me this year with his 3-point percentage.
It's off from the corner.
Yeah.
Or it seems like it's off from the corner, and you're right. See, that's one of those things, too, where I try not to get too ahead of myself looking at it. But when you look at Dwight Howard and Danny Green, they were complementary players on a championship team last year. Can that be the same this year? Hopefully.
Danny Green seems to have the formula. He's won 3 championships.
Yes. And was last year the first one that Dwight Howard won?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, he never won.
He's been on some decent teams, especially like in Houston as well. He was.
He was finished. Yeah, he was done. He had to basically try out for the Lakers last year.
Yeah, because that was one of those things where it's like, who? Okay. Well, just put anybody around LeBron and Anthony Davis, and it might be okay. And he ended up being someone who contributed.
Now, the thought that I've had is, the Sixers will clinch the number 1 seed most likely tonight or the next game. Do you keep going and try to get the home court against most of the West? It could come back to bite you if you don't. I mean, say Phoenix makes it to the finals. You want to be home. They're only a game behind Phoenix. That could be the difference in the championship. Or am I wrong? I mean, your last 2 games are against Orlando. We should be able to beat them with a half a roster. Who's the next game we got? One more game besides that. Who's that against? It's Indiana tonight. Oh, Miami away.
Take Miami.
Yeah.
Miami's going to need that for some playoff seeding. But you're exactly right. You would like to start if you can think ahead. To me, we're getting ahead of ourselves. But of course, this.
Oh, not really. It's pretty.
What I was going to say is, isn't that a nice thought that we can actually sit here and think that far ahead? And, wouldn't it be nice if the Sixers could have game 1 and 2 at home?
That's pretty important. It's pretty important. I was thinking about it 2 years ago when they lost to Toronto. That game should have been in Philly, but they wanted to sit Embiid in every back-to-back of the season, which cost them home court.
Yeah, and if it would be against somebody like Phoenix, you would like to see them being at home those first 2 games. And which team do you think after? I mean, we discussed this before, but after given the last week, do you think is coming out of the West?
Out of the West?
Think the Lakers again?
I don't. I think they're done. I mean, they're in the 7 position right now.
Yeah, they are.
They would have to play every series on the road. LeBron is not 100%. I don't think Anthony Davis is 100%. I think they're definitely vulnerable and definitely beatable. I think Utah may take them out if they play them in the first round.
I can see that happening very, very easily.
I'm trying to figure out what NW. I'm looking at Utah Jazz. They have an NW next to them instead of an X. They clinched the Northwest Division. Utah's 50-19, so the Sixers won't catch them.
No.
They can. Phoenix is the only team that there's a question mark. So as long as it's not Phoenix or Utah, the Sixers would be home for the finals. Now, I still kind of like the Clippers out there. I think the Clippers are in a good position. They're in the 3. I think they'll win their first round matchup with. I think they could beat Portland. And then
I think so too.
Yeah.
That, at this point, that would be the team that I would pick. The only surprise team that could sneak in there is Denver. But
Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray not being there hurts them.
Yes, it does.
And the Phillies, the base is loaded. Nobody. I thought I saw a double play a second ago. Were they both safe?
Oh, they were because Trey Turner he made an error and he couldn't throw Gregorius out at first base. Yes, for those of you following along, the Phillies with a 3-0 lead in the top of the 6th in Washington and bases loaded, and I guess the pitcher's coming up.
That's what we get for we bashed them the whole time.
The pitcher's coming up. So.
Yeah. I'd rather them strike out than hit a ground ball.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, if they can score a run, I'll take it on a double play.
Yeah, that's true. That's what that should happen. Yeah, you don't want the ground ball back to the
Right. Yeah, so back to the NBA. We're looking at these 7, 8, 9, 10 teams. We'll start in the East. We have Boston. This is the 7 seed. Charlotte's the 8. Indiana's the 9. Washington's the 10. And Chicago's 2.5 back. They'll be eliminated probably tonight by Brooklyn.
Boston, I mean, they got players dropping it.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown out for the year. I'd like to see the Sixers. I'd actually like to have Boston this year in the first round.
Yeah, true.
But Boston may not make it to the playoffs. I think if Washington plays them in a 1 game, Washington could take them. So
I would definitely think Washington would
and
take
right now, as it sits, Washington would play them. But Indiana's only a half game ahead of Washington. So that definitely could flip-flop. So one of those 4 teams will be the Sixers' first-round matchup. Boston, Charlotte, Indiana, or Washington. And it's Chase Anderson. It's a fly ball to left. And Reese does not tag. That's the next worst scenario there.
Yeah, when you look at that, you're right. It would be beneficial if it was Boston, but you're probably right that it's not going to be.
Yeah, they're 2 games ahead of Charlotte for the 7 seed. So if they would win that game against Washington, they would get the 7 seed. And if they lose, they'd have to play the loser of the Indiana-Charlotte game. It's a lot. It's complicated. But you mentioned Miami a second ago. They're only a half a game behind Atlanta for the 5, which would put them in position to be the Sixers' second-round matchup if they would beat the Nets.
And that's what I said looking ahead. I guess that's the Thursday night game. The Sixers are in Miami. Miami's going to win that game. Much more than I think the Sixers are going to win that game. Definitely.
No doubt about it. Because they could actually move up to the 4 seed. They're a game behind the Knicks.
Isn't that like one of the – we've talked about that before. It's just the most surprising stories in the NBA this year. What you just said. The Knicks.
Yeah, definitely.
I would have never seen that coming.
Me either. 38-30. I remember talking about them early in the year. I said, that's got to be the worst roster in the NBA. Julius Randle and a bunch of bums. And I still think that. I don't understand how they're 38-30.
Right? I mean, it's not, a large part of it has to be him, but it can't just be the fact that he's the coach, but maybe it is. I don't know.
I mean, you're looking at a team of players that there's not a superstar on the team. There's not even close to another superstar on the team. I mean, Derrick Rose, yeah, he's played great. But after that, it's Elfrid Payton. You got Nicolina, Kevin Knox, Alec Burks, who the Sixers had last year, Reggie Bullock, who was a former Detroit Piston, Taj Gibson, a journeyman.
Larry Moe and Curly.
And you know who else is on the roster? Norvell Pell.
Really?
Yeah. He doesn't play. He's on average point a game.
He'll come in and block you a shot once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, May 3rd, he played 15 minutes against Memphis.
Oh, wow, okay. And they're one of the top seeds in the play.
Yeah, what is this team? That's what I mean. They're the 4 seed. They have nobody.
Yeah, definite surprise. Well, like I said, if you look, you look here, you have the Sixers, you have Brooklyn, you have Milwaukee, and then you go down and you have the Knicks. I mean, there's not that big of a drop off when you look at the perceived talent and the perceived chances when you look at the top 4 teams in the West.
No.
But when you look at it, I guess if you took Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and Sixers, and you take the top 3, I'm trying to take the top 3 in the West. It's Utah, it's Phoenix, and
the Clippers,
and the Clippers. Okay. I don't know which conference has the 3 stronger teams at the top. I guess it would be the West.
You think? I don't know.
Yeah.
The West doesn't have a Brooklyn. Brooklyn has 3 superstars.
True.
The Sixers have 1 superstar.
Well, they do have Danny Green.
Yeah, they have Danny Green. They have Danny Green, and they have a Furkan Korkmaz.
Yeah, Shane Milton. Well, and that's what I was trying to look at.
They play well together, though.
And you look at the records. I know some of the teams in the West, the records are a little bit better, but maybe not.
Just Utah.
Yes.
Really, just Utah. Utah's had a great year. They're 50-19.
And out of the 6 teams, you'd have to say Milwaukee's the weakest team, and that's kind of a surprise thing to say with the talent that they have.
Like we were saying during the break, Milwaukee plays no defense. They give up 87 points in the first half to San Antonio last night. 87 points, 45 in the second quarter, 42 in the first.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of 3-pointers. They were just raining threes. They weren't guarding them.
But was San Antonio on a power play or something?
Yeah. That game was huge for them because they pretty much locked up the number 10. So they're going to play the Lakers. Could you imagine? They're going to play the Lakers. Lose 1 game, they don't make the playoffs. This is a team that was the favorite to win the title all year long, who will be 1 game away from not making it to the playoffs. I repeat. That's amazing.
But you know what? In Philadelphia, being a Sixers fan, I'll take that story if it means that previous year the Sixers had a parade.
Yeah, definitely. And there's McCutcheon striking out. Oh, did he get a piece of it? He got a piece.
Yeah, Andrew McCutcheon hanging in there with 2 balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, because I say that a little facetiously because apparently if you look at the last championship in Philadelphia, that's exactly what happened. We'll trade that Super Bowl for misery.
Well, we signed a lot of players after that Super Bowl that we shouldn't have signed.
Yeah, players who were older and a lot of draft picks that just didn't work out.
Yeah, strike 3. He struck out. This is gonna. This will be next Tuesday's show. We led 3-0 at the bases loaded, nobody out in the 6th, and lost.
Yep. But I'm going to be surprised if that isn't what happens.
I mean, that's a veteran right there. You have to swing. Right there, let him swing. He just lets the pitch go by. I don't understand the mindset of these guys. It's a strike, and he's bailing out of the way on a fastball. Now Segura has to pass to pick him up.
Well, Segura, he'll just bounce a ball in the other batter's box.
Yeah, he'll swing at it. Oh, for sure. His on-base percentage is 20 points higher than his batting average.
No.
That means he does not walk.
No, that's exactly what that means. And the thing that I was thinking about the other day, too, was we're circling back here because of the game being on, but when you have someone who comes out like Aaron Nola did the other night and struggled, or when you have offense that's struggling and things like that, on good teams, when players are struggling, other players pick them up. On bad teams, when players start to struggle, the downward spiral just continues.
Yeah, exactly.
And unfortunately, that's what we see in Philadelphia too often.
Yeah, there's not been a good decade being a Phillies fan. After we were spoiled for, a 5-year run. That was probably the best run in Phillies history, besides the late 70s, early 80s. But we have not had it lately.
No, and what we did with that, what they ended up doing with that was going to Atlanta Braves with only getting 1 World Series, but still some of the best memories ever.
Yeah. It's 9 o'clock. might as well bring this up on the air. I've been watching a lot of I told you on the text, but I've been watching a lot of biographies of wrestlers, of couple of wrestlers. I watched Macho Man, who I think we covered last week. I watched Rowdy Piper, very interesting story.
Okay.
And I watched Steve Austin last night, Stone Cold Steve Austin story. Pretty interesting. Rowdy Piper I'm sure you know his life story. He was a guy who was 16 years old and he started wrestling and broke in, and he actually broke in at 16 years old in the ring. Yeah, Portland, Oregon. A lot of these guys watch their local channels, their regional wrestling. And he was a high school wrestler who basically tried out, and they kept him. He was a great talker. Him and Steve Austin both had that in common. They were both great interviews, and they knew how to rile it up. Basically go on camera and do an interview and get the hype going. Steve Austin's thing was he won the King of the Ring. He wasn't supposed to win it. Triple H was supposed to win it, but he got suspended, so they decided to let Steve Austin win it, and he beat Jake the Snake Roberts, correct? The King of the Ring. And
he beat Jake the Snake Roberts, and I know where you're going with that. Where this is when the Austin 316
amazing.
Was born.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was something that he came up with on his own.
Yep.
And just being a huge wrestling fan that I've been most of my life, when you go back now and you watch that interview, and longtime wrestler turned commentator, announcer Michael Hayes, who's doing that interview, when he says, you can go out there and thump your Bible and thump your John 3:16. Well, Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your, what?
Yeah.
The look on Michael Hayes' face, he knew the moment he said that, now we have something.
Yeah.
And the next night, that was a Sunday night. The next night is their live Monday night show. There's people showing up with signs that say Austin 3:16.
The next night. That's still to this day the all-time leading wrestling T-shirt sold.
Yep.
Austin 3:16. But he came up with the character himself, Austin 3:16. I mean, Austin 3. Stone Cold Steve Austin. He told the story how he came up with the Stone Cold. He was
with his wife
at the kitchen the kitchen table. She said it's going to get stone cold.
Austin's having tea with his wife.
Yeah.
You don't picture the fact that those guys have those different lives,
right?
Outside of different things.
Yeah. That's what they all talked about. All three biographies that I watched were how they're on the road 300 days a year and they have families and how tough it is. The ones that are coming up are Ultimate Warrior. I'm going to watch that one. And who else is on there? Booker T. That's another one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But very, very, very interesting how they come up with how they get their starts. A lot of them are similar. Like Steve Austin was in Texas, and every Sunday he would watch the wrestling show, and he loved it. And he reserved the family television. They only had 3 channels, and then he liked the wrestling hour. So he saw a commercial for a wrestling academy, and he went down there to try out. And Mankind was actually watching from the upstairs, and he said, that guy right there is the only guy here that has a chance that even looks like a wrestler. And it was him, Steve Austin. He had blonde hair, totally different look.
Yeah, if you look at some of his earlier work when he was in Steve Austin, and it was part of a tag team with Brian Pillman called the Hollywood Blondes.
Yeah.
And very, very interesting the way that he came through down there in Texas, and I guess I don't know if they bring this out, because I did not see that the show that you're talking about. Did they bring out his last name is Williams? Yeah,
Steve Williams, and he said, my name's Steve Williams, and they said that's not going to work. We already have a Dr. Death, Steve Williams.
Steve Williams. So he took on the $6 million man's name.
Yeah. Oh, and Piper too. How they came up with Rowdy Piper? You know that story?
Yes, I do.
They didn't know his last name, and he said, "What's his name?" He said, "Rod Piper," because he played the bagpipes.
Right, Roddy the Piper.
Yeah, Roddy the Piper. How about that?
And the dog just somehow vanished.
Toombs was his name, right?
Yes.
Right, Rod Toombs.
Yeah, the interesting thing about him. Tons of interesting things about him.
Oh, yeah.
But his last show was in Lancaster. Lancaster's 10 miles from where I live.
Wow.
Championship Wrestling had a show at a hotel. He used to run some shows, and he appeared on that show a couple of days before it. Yeah, unfortunately, ended up dying.
He was still performing in the 60s?
No, he was there doing his Piper's Pit.
Oh, okay. He's still doing that.
So yeah, he was doing that. Yeah.
Wow. And it was funny watching all the Steve Austin and Vince McMahon battles through the years. How he said he would kick him and he would have no idea where the kick was going because the jeans were so tight.
Well, that was always one of those interesting things too, where people who were kind of in the know or whatever, it's like, well, Vince McMahon plays this character on TV. He's he's the true owner.
Right.
He actually started coming up there and everything. To the 80s and or was you tell that when he
sorry, folks, we're losing you here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I got you back. All right.
Yeah, because when Vince came into that Rumble, it was like, oh, look, he's not some small guy or whatever. I was actually in the building in Philadelphia. I think that was in 1998. It was in Philadelphia, and the show started with Vince McMahon being out there and Stone Cold coming out, and the interview was going in a certain way. And Steve Austin said, it sounds like to me, Vince, you want to be the WWF champion. Well, why don't you challenge me? And that's when they set up the whole thing that night where he was going to wrestle for the championship and everything. That's kind of how he got that. Kind of how he got that start. But I remember being in Philadelphia that night. That was
wow. So the championship matches they couldn't repeat those every night, right? Or no, because people would find out about that.
yeah, a lot of that stuff. I mean, well,
like I do remember here and there, like we would watch it and they would say earlier this week or earlier in an earlier match, they would film them, right? They would always film it.
Yeah, there was still a lot of it. Well, a lot of things what you would call house shows, though. Shows that were just I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with what a house show is, but it's a show that's just taking place in the arena.
Right.
And most of that stuff does get filmed one way or another, but no, a lot of times what they'll do is, I will correct myself, they will have the championship matches will take place, like the same championship match will take place on a Thursday and on a Friday and then on a Saturday.
Wow.
It'll be the same match, just in a different city. Yeah,
wow.
It's usually the way that they would do it. And I'm not so, well, I guess now with the way the COVID and stuff has been, but what's different is, it would be called a program, and you would just take that program to every city.
Okay.
And it was like, I think the last time I was at a WWE event, they were in Wildwood. When we were down there on vacation, and my daughter and I went. And the next night was a pay-per-view in Philadelphia, and the feature on the pay-per-view, one of the features was John Cena taking on Rusev in a flag match in the United States versus Bulgaria. But the main event the night before in Wildwood was John Cena versus Rusev in a flag match.
Wow.
And that's just how they would do it.
And Washington's on the board. Shocker.
Oh, hey, they're starting already.
Yeah. Phillies didn't score.
The Phillies are not winning this game.
No.
No. There's no way. Once you, isn't it amazing in baseball? Once you leave the bases loaded, the next inning you give up a run.
Yeah, we should have looked at the odds when they had the bases loaded and nobody out. That's probably plus 1,000.
I did actually look, and I think I have it saved here. What that was. It was plus 450.
That's it?
Yes. That should tell you something.
Yeah. So the last thing was that Steve Austin, when he was in that one match and he thought he was paralyzed, as he couldn't feel his fingers. And who was he? I don't forget who he was wrestling, but the other guy wouldn't pin him.
It was Owen Hart.
It was Owen Hart or Bret Hart? Was it Bret Hart?
It was Owen.
It was that one?
Yeah, it was SummerSlam, and I'm trying to think if that was 80. I think that was SummerSlam 97.
Okay.
I think that's when it happened because I was at the show the next night.
Oh, okay.
the next night the show was in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, at the Stabler Arena up there. And that was always a big talk because he took that reverse pile driver really, really bad, and it kind of like compressed his neck.
Yeah.
And
but why didn't Hart pin him? Hart was told not to win the match, and he stuck with it, right?
He did, and ended up he just stood there, and Austin finally climbed.
He crawled over and grabbed him by the shirt, and he fell.
Oh my God!
Steve Austin said it was the worst pin in wrestling history.
It was. It was like, wow, that's what really just. Yeah.
He even told the referee to tell him to pin him, and he still didn't do it.
No, that's true. That was one of those things that was talked about a little bit after that. Was like once that accident took place. I mean, it was one of those things where Austin was scheduled to win the match and win the Intercontinental title, and Owen Hart just went through with what was supposed to be the ending, even though that accident happened. And
so they would have been fired, right, if they didn't win they didn't go with those scripts.
At that point, I'm not sure, and I don't think someone would have gotten fired because of the accident. And if they called it audible, I would probably say no. Especially two well-established guys like those two.
Well, Austin was fired from his first gig when he left for some family reason or some injury, and they called him and fired him.
Yeah, because that was the company that I worked for in wrestling was ECW, and Austin ended up coming to ECW for a few months. He was there after he left.
Yeah, they showed that.
After he left WCW, he came there because you're exactly right. He was off, I believe. There was an injury, and what was recommended was that he went home, spent his time with the family, take a little bit of a break, rest the injury, and next thing you know, he got a notice from the owner, Eric Bischoff, you're fired.
Yeah, they showed that. And then ECW called him and he said, I can't wrestle. He goes, what can you do? He said, I can talk. So they brought him there and had him do interviews.
Yeah, he actually did. He actually did wrestle a couple of matches there, which was interesting. And he really, what they call in the wrestling business, putting over a guy who was one of their champions, a guy named Mike Whipwreck. He actually took a loss to him to really help boost him. I mean, it was in a championship match.
Wow.
And he did a couple matches there, but you're right. When he first came there, he was actually doing skits and parodies of people in WCW and parodies of Hulk Hogan and different things.
Yeah, they showed that. He had a Steve Mania shirt on.
I remember it. Yeah, where he was sitting at the desk. That was at that old arena that's still there on Swanson Arena in South Philadelphia.
Wow.
Sitting there in the back of that old broken down arena, which is called the ECW Arena, but it's still there. I mean, it was a bingo hall. I mean, that's all it was. It was a bingo hall that they converted into wrestling.
And what did they call him? Stunning Steve Austin?
He was stunning Steve Austin for a long time.
Yeah.
He took on that ringmaster gimmick that they
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you remember the name that Vince McMahon told him to use? He didn't like it one bit. He hated it.
The buzz cut, he was managed by the $1 Million Man.
Yeah. But his belt, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he hated it.
That's great. All right. That's more wrestling talk than we thought we'd have, but I love it. I know you do too.
I got to mention, though, from we always end on a talk about NASCAR.
Yep.
You had Martin Truex last week.
Yeah, I thought that a veteran driver would win Darlington, and that's what had happened in the Xfinity race also. Justin Allgaier won that race.
Yeah, exactly.
I watched a lot of racing over the weekend, and it wasn't as good as I thought it'd be. It was like a survival race. All the first two, the truck race and the Xfinity race, it was basically whoever didn't crash into the wall, and then it wasn't a lot of passing the leader, so whoever got in front won.
Well, you just defined Darlington.
Yeah, I mean Sheldon Creed, another guy that's been around a little while, he won the truck race. I actually was impressed with Corey Hine, Kyle Busch's guy. His first career race, 18 years old. He was leading when he got into the accident.
Yep, he was. That guy's going to have a good future.
Yes, especially driving that truck. Yeah, if you could drive the 51 truck every week, you'd have a great future.
Sure, that's true.
But yeah, he got better and better as the race went on. His times were improving. And I actually threw a couple shackles on at 16-1.
Yeah, but you put your seat down on Truex, right?
Yeah, I didn't take Truex. Yeah, after watching the first two races, I said I'm not touching this. Yeah, our home track over Delaware. In past years, it would be a Jimmy Johnson or a Ryan Newman pick years ago. Nowadays, I don't think. Yeah, Jeff Gordon, Harvick. I don't think Harvick's the pick anymore. I think he's on the downside of his career. He's 45 years old, Harvick.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this week is week number 22 or 11 win. One of those two, I think, are going to win this
Yeah,
week.
I can see Denny winning this week.
And if not, I think it's going to be Joe Logano. So if it's 11, 22, well, who's 33 now?
33 is Austin Cindric, who I think has a great future.
Yeah, I'm just adding 11.
Yeah, I know. The 44 to 55.
And with the way this year is going, obviously, it's going to be someone who has won so far.
Yeah, probably. Kyle Busch too. He's raced good. Are they having a truck race also, or just two?
I don't know if they are. That's a good question.
I don't think they are. I think I only saw two.
I don't think they are either. It's a very good question. There's a truck race this weekend.
I have it here.
And look, is staff working on that?
Yeah, they're quickly finding it. They already have it up here. The next race is Saturday, May 22nd. So no, there will be no race this weekend. That'll be a 42-lap Circuit of the Americas track in Austin, Texas. Speaking of Austin.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what, though. That will be an outstanding race to watch. If you're not someone who is a fan of the truck races, that one will be the one to watch.
I've become a fan recently of the trucks. I mean, I used to watch them back in the day with Ron Hornaday.
Okay.
But lately, I've pretty much watched 3 races a weekend.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here watching the Phillies, and we're still ahead 3-1 in the bottom of the 6th, and that Reese Hoskins play there at first base looks like something I've been calling in Little League. Where they can't pick up the ball around first base, and it's a close play.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd consider trading him at this point. I would trade him for.
Get someone to play center field.
Yeah.
Might be able to get a bullpen arm.
Yeah, I don't need to get a superstar, but they need a solid center fielder. Yeah, how about a center fielder and a closer?
Well, and here's the only thing I can say positive on the Phillies, where that move could be something to benefit them if Dombrowski would go down that route and make the right move. They have 2 other first basemen on this team. They have Alec Bohm and they have JT Realmuto.
Yeah. Why wait? What are you waiting for? Do it now.
Or put Bryce Harper there. He played first base Saturday night.
Yeah.
For a matter.
Yeah. Yeah. But they say that Bryce can't. They say Bryce can't play center field. I think he could. He's only 29 and 28. He can still play center field. He can run.
Well, the ball's hit till you catch it, right?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, who's in? I guess they Kunrad's in, right? Yeah.
Yeah, in the 6th inning. Yeah. Guess he's not going to be the closer. So once again, you're going to see who are you going to see tonight? I see Pachter and Norris, 90% chance. I mean,
yeah, you're probably going to see Kunrad here in 6th. Then
Alvarado. It's like every inning's an escape act.
Yeah, the only person I really trust coming in, he'll probably want to get around tonight, be Kinsler.
Yeah, he's been decent, but he's a real average pitcher. You know that.
Well, I'm telling you, Ranger Suarez somehow is getting in this game.
Yeah, you said it. Yeah, John Means shut out the Mets tonight so far into the 7th inning.
Have the Mets, have the Orioles scored?
Yeah, it's 1-0.
Okay. Yeah, I could,
John Means is making a case for the Cy Young Award. 4-0 with a 1.21 ERA. And
down there in obscurity down there in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Do you get Orioles games where you live?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
I'm fortunate enough to live close enough to York, where they consider York a Baltimore area.
Oh, okay.
York, Pennsylvania, Baltimore area. So I get you don't get Nationals games either, do you?
No, just Phillies.
Wow, I mean, which is amazing. I mean, I live in Lancaster County. Actually, it's Columbia, Pennsylvania. I mean,
I was wondering how you watch so many Orioles games.
I get Orioles, Pirates,
What?
Nationals, and Phillies. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. You're right. It's wow, because you live right there in Philadelphia. You don't get any of that.
No, I just get Phillies, and for years we got Braves because they were on TBS. But
Until that changed.
Yeah.
You used to be that way with the Cubs too. Until that changed.
yeah, that's right. I used to watch WGN, but growing up, I pretty much watched 150 Braves games a year.
Yep.
I used to see every game. I knew them just as good as I knew the Phillies. David Justice.
See, and what started me out really having a hatred for the Atlanta Braves was on Saturday nights when they would play in wrestling when we'd be out.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Braves game is coming on at 7:05.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah, that would cut into it.
We did it again. We went an hour and 20 minutes on our hour weekly sports show.
Yeah, and it's going to be good going forward. We're going to have ups and downs. I think with the Phillies, I think we're going to have more downs than ups.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can change the pattern here on Tuesday night once our show ends.
Yeah. And the next time we join you, we'll have Sixers playoffs. We'll know who they're playing. They probably would have played a game by now. Or they might be playing the first game, I think, by next Tuesday night. Or either that or we'll be in the play-in tournament.
Yeah, I think that's what it will be. I think the playoffs are probably going to start after that. So our next show, I think we'll know more or less who's in. I don't think we'll actually know who their opponent will be.
Okay. But we'll have the hockey tournament will be set. The brackets will be set for hockey.
We'll have that. We'll have definitely the Dover race to talk about.
Yeah.
And who knows if the Eagles will have any news to talk about or anything that they
No.
possibly
The only surprising thing I saw was that Deshaun Watson is a possibility for the Eagles. I mean, I'm not shocked, but I thought Deshaun Watson's having more legal troubles than he's worth right now.
Those players seem to gravitate to Philadelphia.
Yeah. Michael Vick. Yeah. And there's a ground ball base hit. Unbelievable.
Yeah, they're all losers, huh?
Where were they playing?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, once again, it's another Phillies guy who can throw 100 but can't get it out.
That was a ground ball out. That's a routine out. There was nobody there.
Left on the manager where you have
Yeah.
the position.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And what I want to just let everyone know, you can always follow us on Twitter. And we're not someone who's going to be upset if you even call up. So at least I'm not going to be, because it happens. If you want to call us a moron or something for some of our comments on there, hey,
Nah, not at all. I love it.
We're not like some talk show hosts in Philadelphia where I can just block you.
Yeah, we won't block you.
No, we won't do that. And before we get off, speaking of Twitter, and we had talked earlier before we went to the break, I had mentioned Legacy Financial, and on Twitter you can find Legacy Financial at Legacy_Uncut. That would be Twitter. Go to at Legacy_Uncut, and you can find Legacy Financial. And Legacy Financial wants you to know that they realize this last year has been really, really tough. However, everybody needs to keep their faith, stay positive, and continue working hard. If you're in a financial struggle at the moment and you need some help, or if you're doing well and you want to get to the next level, give Legacy Financial a call. Their number is 510-928-2104. Once again, Legacy Financial, 510-928-2104. If you're looking for an opportunity to work for yourself and earn some part-time money, Legacy Financial is the place to call. Call now, talk to AO, talk to Andrew, schedule an appointment with either one of them or somebody else working at Legacy Financial. They are looking out for everyone, and they're on a mission to help families build financial future. Legacy Financial, call them today.
That's right. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you as always, and we will see you next week.
Go Phillies!